The Glitches of Fire Emblem panel for EmblemCon 2022. My name is Digital Dreams, and I'll be your host through the world of glitches throughout the Fire Emblem series. In the next hour or so, I'll show you countless glitches found throughout the mainline games, and hopefully, you'll leave here with a bit more quirky trivia about how Fire Emblem games can misbehave in all sorts of funny, terrifying, and game-breaking ways. Just like with the previous video I did, this is a recording of a panel from a past EmblemCon event, this time from the summer of 2022. This iteration of the panel is meant to archive the presentation for future reference, and it's mostly identical to the original with only minor tweaks to fit new discoveries and increased research on my end. Nothing was removed, but a few glitches were added for this version since I'm not on an hour-long time limit here. Once again, the script is in the description of the video since I couldn't put together subtitles. Also, just like with the previous video, I'm putting this video together in a single take since that's how I did it at the convention, and this is meant to be an archival of that original presentation. There aren't as many spoilers here as with the previous video, but I would still advise you to proceed with caution if you're avoiding information about a specific game. Before we go any further, allow me to introduce myself in a bit more detail. If you've attended past EmblemCon events, you may recognize me as a panelist from previous conventions. At the first EmblemCon, I hosted a panel about my rewrite of Fire Emblem Fates, and in 2021, I did a presentation about the cut content throughout the Fire Emblem series, as well as the community tier list. If you want to see that informational panel, you can find it here on this channel. Outside of EmblemCon, I'm primarily a writer, and I spend way too much of my free time working on Fire Emblem stories on Archive of Our Own. I created the aforementioned scripted rewrite of Fates, a Three Houses fangame script, and a compilation of more than 400 cut support conversations from the Tellius saga. On top of that, I've participated in a few Fire Emblem zines. As you can quite clearly see, I love Fire Emblem a lot, and I'm beyond excited to show all of you what I found regarding glitches throughout the series. I've always found glitches intriguing since they give us new insight into the ways the game was developed and how small oversights and exploits can be used to pull apart a game's code in ways the programmers never intended. Fire Emblem is far from being a series known for its glitches, but there are still a myriad of interesting tidbits to be found here, and I'm more than happy to show you everything I've learned about the Fire Emblem series and its wide range of quirky bugs. Before we go any further than this, there are a couple of things that I feel should be clarified within the realm of glitches, most notably what a glitch is and is not. Glitches can be performed without hacking into the hardware or externally changing the game in a fundamental way. They are oversights or exploits of faults within a game's programming. There will be no hacks or cheat codes discussed within this panel because those require outside influence on the game and are thus not considered glitches. However, there are still many interesting glitches to be found throughout the series, so without further ado, let's begin! We'll start our journey into the world of Fire Emblem glitches with the first game in the series, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. Manikeets are our first targets of discussion here, and they can easily exploit an intended mechanic to loop their defense stat infinitely and go more than 5 times past their intended defense cap of 20. If a Manikeet uses a class change item with a Dragonstone equipped, their defense will be raised by the Dragonstone's defense. 12 for a Firestone, 13 for a Divine Stone, 15 for a Mage Stone, and 23 for an Earthstone, without using up the Dragonstone. This exploit can be used to exceed the class's cap, though any number higher than 99 will not display properly, instead only showing the last 2 numbers. On screen, you can see Bantu with 99 defense using this glitch. After the defense stat goes above 127, it loops down to negative 128. Enemies will avoid attacking the Manikeet, believing them to have high defense, but they in fact have a negative defense stat. The status screen shows negative 128 as 0, negative 127 as 1, and so on, but the battle screen will always have the defense meter maxed out. After the defense returns to 0 and above, it works normally, and you can repeat the cycle once more if you so choose. Strangely enough, this is not the only glitch in Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light to manipulate stats and their caps. It's possible to cap a unit's resistance for free as long as you have access to a barrier staff and a talisman. If a barrier buff has been put on a unit and the boost is still active, using a talisman on them will cap their resistance without using up the talisman. In other words, you can do this as many times as you want as long as you have a barrier staff with uses remaining, and just like that, your army will be filled with resistance gods. Our final glitch for this game brings us to the English translation that was released for the 25th anniversary of the series. In the English release, if a unit speaks to another unit while standing on a house or village that you can visit, the house or village text will be shown instead of the dialogue from the 2 units speaking. This glitch is certainly a strange case of confusion, and I can't help wondering where it could have come from since there are no records of it existing in the Japanese version. Gaiden is our next destination on our journey of glitches, and we're starting things off by kicking Gray off of Alm's team. At the beginning of the game, Gray blocks the exit of Ram Village and is only supposed to move after he has been recruited. However, if you reset the game after speaking to Mycen a second time, the NPCs are rearranged throughout the area. Gray is no longer in front of the town's entrance, and you can leave without recruiting him. Lucas will block the entrance in Gray's place if he has not been recruited, but if you do already have Lucas on your side, you can freely leave the town without bringing Gray into Alm's army. This means that it's possible to bring Gray into Celica's army after the end of Act 2. Celica gains access to Alm's portion of the map from Act 1 at the end of Act 2, so she can visit every space that Alm once traversed. Any characters that Alm did not speak to can be recruited into Celica's army, though they have the same dialogue as if they were being recruited by Alm. Villagers in these areas will refer to Celica as Alm, and Alm's portrait appears when you talk to Forsyth. In the remake, this oversight was acknowledged by providing these characters, most notably Cliff and Faye, with unique dialogue should Celica double back to recruit them. Since Tobin and Gray automatically join in Echoes, though, they cannot be recruited with Celica. Forsyth and Python can only be recruited by Alm as well in Echoes, so even if they have no unique dialogue, they can only be in Alm's army, or no army at all. On the note of NPCs behaving strangely, it's possible to get rid of NPCs on some battle maps. If the player retreats from a battle with NPC units, the NPCs will be gone when the battle is next loaded. The NPCs never return either, meaning you have to press on without them after the initial retreat. This was likely a developer oversight, but it's unfortunate regardless. Perhaps the most famous oversight in Gaiden is that Duma can be killed with the Nosferatu spell. Alm's falchion is supposed to be the only weapon that can reduce Duma's HP to 0, but a strange and unknown oversight gives Nosferatu this ability as well. The game functions fine after this aside from a few graphical glitches during the ending sequence and credits. In Echoes, this glitch was acknowledged by turning it into an intentional feature to reference the past oversight. Now, let's transition back to Arcanea for Mystery of the Emblem. For the most part, this game is rather solid and lacks glitches. However, there is one peculiar bug that has scarcely been recorded online, despite its potential to crash the current map. In Chapter 5 of Book 2, the player can recruit Ricard by having Julian talk to him. This is the recommended way to recruit Ricard, but it's also possible to make him join your army by speaking with him in Chapter 6 when he appears once again as an enemy unit. As a result, the text for recruiting Ricard is still active and can be accessed in Chapter 6, even if he was recruited in Chapter 5. If Julian and Ricard are both fielded in Chapter 6, make Julian talk to Ricard once again, and the regular recruitment text will play out. However, doing so will immediately break the game, as Marth is randomly considered to be dead. With Marth dead, your only option is to reset the map because his death is a required reset by default. This bug has a corresponding video, so I'll show it now. Why does this happen? It's hard to say for sure, but something about repeating this text within Mystery of the Emblem breaks the game and forces the player to restart the map. I suppose the developers never thought that the player would replay this text in such a way after viewing it for the first time, but I have no idea what that has to do with putting Marth in a killed state out of the blue. It's certainly an odd oversight, but it's something to watch out for if you ever plan on playing Mystery of the Emblem. It's time to move into Genealogy of the Holy War next, and we're starting off with a small exploit involving the Miracle Sword. Most of the time, the weapon is locked solely to female units, but it's possible to give men the chance to use it through a glitch. Once the Miracle Sword is broken, you can sell it as a broken sword to the pawn shop. From there, it can be bought and equipped by a male unit since the broken sword has no gender restrictions without the Miracle Sword connection. After the sword is repaired, a male unit can use it. However, this only lasts as long as the weapon is equipped. As soon as the unit uses another weapon, the Miracle Sword's gender restriction kicks in once again, and men can no longer use it in combat. Unfortunately, not all glitches in Genealogy are quite so beneficial. There are two glitches involving Seliph in the second generation that can completely break the game. First and foremost, there's the Frozen Lord glitch. Have a promoted Seliph dismount and then wait without taking any other actions. From there, have a dancer grant him another action via dancing. Make Seliph take one more action, and when the next turn arrives, the glitch will show itself. After this glitch is triggered, Seliph will be grayed out at the start of every turn, so the only way for him to move is to have him be danced each turn. The real problem comes in with the Vanishing Lord glitch, a side effect of the previous bug. If Seliph dismounts and then enters the main castle, he will disappear completely and cannot be found no matter what you do. The game plays normally, for the most part, but without Seliph to seize, you can't clear any objectives, making the game soft-locked and thus impossible to clear. The reason these two bugs are specified as Lord glitches specifically is because Seliph is the only one who can dismount in Genealogy, so he is the only one who can perform them. No matter what, steer clear of these bugs to keep your file intact in Genealogy. If you fall for the trap, it's going to lead to a swift reset of more than half the game, since there's no way to fix it aside from going backwards. And this is why you always keep a backup save. The final glitch of this segment is crucial to any speedrun of Genealogy of the Holy War, and it is known as the Rescue Staff glitch. It's game-breaking as can be, but in the positive way as opposed to the negative way the last two glitches behaved. In order to perform this trick, you need a rescue staff in your possession. Have a unit stand outside of your base castle and guard it. From there, have a staff user utilize rescue to pull them into the castle. When they leave the castle, they will have a few unique properties. For one, they will recover HP every turn as if they were still guarding the castle. Second, they can move an infinite number of times in one turn, allowing the unit to scale massive portions of the map in a single turn without ever being attacked by the enemies. However, it's important to avoid attacking the enemies first in this state, since that will end the infinite movement glitch. If enemy forces conquer the castle while the glitch is active, the game will softlock since it has no idea how to handle this. Once again, we have a video to show off this glitch. This glitch is crucial to speedruns, and it offers a much faster way of traversing Genealogy's massive maps if the glitch is applied to the lord of the party, allowing the runner to seize castles freely and quickly within the span of a single turn without the risk of enemy counterattacks. The next game on our list is Thracia 776, and there's only one glitch for us to cover today. In Chapter 11, Kemp's Trap brings us to a strange bug that creates an invalid unit. The door tile can forcefully move your units. If one of your units influenced by this is rescuing another, the trap can have strange effects that distort the game's perception of the unit being rescued. The unit rescuing another will be flagged as carrying someone, but the information about the specific unit in their care will be updated incorrectly, leaving behind an invalid unit. The game incorrectly updates the second unit's data, and the game is left confused as a result. Attempting to drop the invalid unit manually will freeze the game completely. If the rescuing unit is killed, the game will freeze again, since the invalid unit will be dropped by force. Attempting to trade with the invalid unit will work at first, but this doesn't function well for long. You can access an unusual inventory this way, but leaving the trade behind will once again freeze the game. In other words, Kemp's Trap worked, and if this glitch activates, it will leave you unable to complete the map. I doubt this is the effect Kemp had in mind, but it's certainly an interesting twist regardless. Transitioning into the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games, we start off with Binding Blade. This game has a glitch that allows you to obtain items that are normally meant to stay out of the player's hands. An AI oversight allows a Berserked Thief to obtain a Firestone, an enemy-exclusive Dragonstone weapon. If an enemy unit uses Berserk on one of your thieves, they will be able to steal a Firestone from an enemy Manakete holding the weapon. This is possible in Chapters 22 and 23 as long as the thief in question, Shad, Astolfo, or Kath, has higher speed than the enemy Manakete. Faye can use the Firestone on top of that, though there are a few graphical glitches in the battle animations. Turning off battle animations will fix the issue. One thing that Binding Blade has been criticized for in the past is the somewhat shaky hit rates, and this game proves its unreliability by making it possible to miss at 100% accuracy. This happens because of a mistake in the way the game calculates RNG. There are two ways that RNG is rolled in Fire Emblem, single and double. In Binding Blade, status staves use single RNG, a single rolled number to determine hit rate, and if the game rolls a 100 on a 100% chance to hit, the attack will miss, an oversight not found on any other game in the series. Combat, however, runs on double RNG. Double hit RNG, also known as true hit, means that for every attack, the game rolls two numbers and then takes their average. If the number is below the hit rate, then the attack hits. If the number is higher than the hit rate, the attack misses. In Binding Blade, if the two numbers rolled are both 100 and the average is thus 100, at 100% accuracy, hit can miss. The chances of this actually happening under double RNG is 0.00003, making it incredibly rare. Growth rate, status staves, and regular attacks can all miss under this issue, though combat is the rarest of these instances on account of being double roll while the others are all single. On top of that, 0% hits have a chance of making contact for much the same reasons as missing a 100 hit, meaning that the game is never quite telling the truth when it says the combat outcome is absolutely a success or a failure. The glitch is exclusive to Binding Blade and was fixed in later GBA releases, but here's an example of the glitch causing a 100% miss in combat. As you can see, this is an absolute nightmare to have to face, and I'm very glad this was fixed for other games on the GBA. Our next glitch takes us to the arena where it is possible to fight against an impossible foe. After using the arena multiple times, an enemy brigand with a bow will spawn in it. This match takes place in complete darkness because there are no animations for brigands using bows. If the opponent is a physical unit, they cannot retaliate. Magical opponents can retaliate and possibly kill with a critical hit, but after a single round of combat, the match ends as if the player had pulled out and rescinded their bet. Here's a video of the glitch in action. My personal favorite glitch in Binding Blade comes in the form of recruiting Hugh with some English translations. Hugh's recruitment functions as follows. You can recruit him with money starting at 10,000 gold. If you decide to not recruit him, the cost will drop along with his stats until he costs 5,000 gold. If you recruit him at 5,000 gold under a few glitched English translations, he will come with magic and skill that well exceed their caps. They will reset to their caps after you fight against an enemy, but he can still be used as an interesting gimmick unit in these glitched copies if you choose to recruit him with the minimum gold possible. To kick off Blazing Blade, we're going to look at a few minor graphical glitches. First, we move to the support viewer. If you have unlocked all of the supports within the game, there will be a minor graphical error of the 100% completion window overlapping with the success text. Blazing Blade also has a few problems with help text, specifically in the North American release. The Wind Sword and Dragon Axe both suffer from a glitch where their help descriptions are too long to properly display. A few other graphical errors can occur as a result of the shortened descriptions. This was fixed in the European release by shortening the descriptions of both weapons to allow them to fit within the text box limits. Now let's get into the one I'm sure you've all been waiting for. The enemy control glitch, more commonly referred to as the mind glitch, is most commonly associated with Blazing Blade and is perhaps the most famous glitch in the series. It can be found in all GBA games, but Blazing Blade uses it most frequently in speedruns because of how easy it is to control through the mine item. If an enemy is standing on a lava tile that shoots flames or the tile where a mine is placed, the game can be reset after the enemy unit begins combat. If done properly, you will be able to control the enemies when you next turn on the console, allowing you to rescue and trade items within the enemy faction. Their profiles will be glitchy and prone to distortion, but playing as the enemy faction otherwise functions perfectly fine. The possibilities are endless, and speedrunners often use this trick to get around tricky maps where the option is there. Let's see this glitch in action. Assuming the video decides to load. There are many ways to use this glitch, but within Blazing Blade, you can give Vida's Uber Spear to an enemy shaman who regularly drops a Lunatome, meaning they will drop the spear instead. Dropped items also have their durability fully restored, so you can force an enemy to remove an item from the convoy and then drop it to fully restore the weapon's durability. Enemies have no restrictions on accessing the convoy, so you can trade items directly there as well. You could alternatively force all enemies to drop their weapons entirely if you are struggling with the chapter. You could make Dart talk to Fargus for you if in the Port of Badon. While the possibilities are a bit more restricted in Binding Blade and Sacred Stones, Blazing Blade, the mine item, allows you to execute this glitch on nearly every map, hence why the glitch is commonly referred to as Mine Glitch, since that's the strongest association among fans. We've spent a fair share of our time up to this point talking about exploits that have the potential to break your game in interesting ways. From controlling enemy units to endlessly looping stats, there are many ways to bend the game beneath your heel to make your experience more enjoyable. However, our next glitch to kick off our Sacred Stone segment will give a whole new definition to the idea of game breaking. This glitch exclusive to the localized versions has the potential to outright softlock the game and force a hard reset. The Pierce skill belonging to Wyvern Lords has a strange property within the international releases specifically, where it may sometimes activate too quickly. If a Wyvern Lord is hitting twice back-to-back, either with a Brave Lance or if the enemy cannot counterattack and Pierce activates on the first hit, it may take a while for the enemy's HP to drain fully because of the damage that Pierce deals. However, if your unit attacks again before the enemy's HP is finished decreasing, the game will crash. This strange property to Pierce is only found within localizations and has never been shown to exist within the Japanese version, but it's malicious enough to force hard resets if the skill activates in the wrong time or place. Here you can see the Pierce skill activating in all its tragic glory and soft-locking the game. Turning off battle animations will prevent this from happening, but it's an unfortunate issue either way. There's actually another bug related to the Pierce glitch found in both Sacred Stones and Blazing Blade, but I put it here for the sake of comparing it to the Pierce glitch. This time the weapon responsible is the Devil Axe. If the unit on one side of a fight uses the Devil Axe and it backfires against an enemy with a hand axe, the game begins to act strangely. The Devil Axe's HP backfire won't drain fast enough, causing the game to panic. When the enemy counterattacks with a hand axe at melee range, their HP overflows up to 255, which is written as 2 question marks due to being above the 2-digit limit of the GBA format. In Blazing Blade, the game will freeze and softlock. In Sacred Stones, the problem fixes itself eventually. In both games, the glitch is caused by the previous health value not draining entirely before the next health decrease enters the code, which is the exact same problem as the Pierce glitch. It seems that in order to pull off this glitch, the unit with the hand axe needs to be a pirate, fighter, brigand, or berserker, though Hector can also do this as a Great Lord. It has to do with their animation speed with the hand axe, which already has one of the fastest melee animations in the game, on top of the classes with speedy battle animations. The speed of the hand axe's animation combined with the Devil Axe backfire causes an overflow, leading to problems with the game's potentially freezing. Obviously, this glitch can only be performed with battle animations turned on. Here you can see the glitch in action in Sacred Stones, with Ross being the one on the receiving end of the overflow. And here you can see this glitch in Blazing Blade, though the enemy is the one who receives the overflow this time, showing this bug works both ways. Unlike in Sacred Stones, though, this crash does not fix itself, meaning you must reset. This glitch may be possible in Binding Blade as well, since the three games use the same engine, but nobody has ever testified to having pulled it off, nor have they recorded it on camera, leaving its presence in Binding Blade unconfirmed as of right now. If anyone could test this and tell me if it's possible or not, I would love to know. Now, let's get back to breaking Fire Emblem games in a fun way. During the Blazing Blades segment, I talked about the Mind Glitch and how its applications can function within the realms of the 7th Fire Emblem game. In Sacred Stones, the glitch works a bit differently and has nothing to do with the mine item of its predecessor. To perform the glitch this time, an enemy has to step on a lava tile that shoots flames, a tile where a snag used to be, or the tile where Torch was cast. These are known as action tiles. If an enemy unit ends their turn on an action tile, you can reset the game as soon as they turn gray from ending their turn, and that will activate the enemy control glitch. Once again, let's see this glitch in action. Please note that while it isn't shown in the video, the tile the spider ends its turn on was the space where a torch staff was cast before the recording began, making it an action tile and thus applicable for the glitch. Sacred Stones allows you to repeat a few of the glitches from Blazing Blade here, such as trading items into the convoy or repairing broken weapons through dropped items. By grinding on maps that have Gorgon eggs, you can repair any weapon easily, including Mer's one-of-a-kind Dragonstone and all legendary weapons. Give the Gorgon egg the weapons you want to have repaired while keeping its first slot free of anything important. When the egg hatches, all of the items will be restored, and performing the glitch once more will let you drop the restored items into the convoy. You can steal enemy items via the control glitch and drop them into the convoy as well, which allows you to give anyone access to weapons they should not have access to. Sacred Stones has its own specialty in terms of this glitch uses, and my personal favorite involves teaching your units dark magic. You can steal stone weapons from enemy monsters using the enemy control glitch and teach anybody dark magic if you so choose. When they rank up in dark magic, they'll be able to use tomes rather than just stones. Physical attackers will revert to map animations automatically, but if you try to have them attack with dark magic, the magical classes will play out battle animations as normal. Tethys can attack with dark magic as well, but the game will freeze if combat animations are turned on and she has enough attacking speed to double and perform a follow-up attack. This issue can be avoided by using map animations only, allowing any and all members of your army to freely attack with magic that very few have access to naturally. There are a few other things to be careful of, though. Using dark magic on an unintended unit in the arena will cause a glitch similar to the Brigand with a Bow bug from Binding Blade, as the screen will go black. After a single round, the arena match will end. Using Stone or Wretched Air against Famortis will also cause a crash, since he was never meant to suffer from the status of Petrify or from a monster attack. Hitting him with a Dark Tome is fine, though, even if it's from an unintended unit. Still, this glitch has few game-breaking downsides as long as you're careful with battle animations and the spells you use. To wrap up the Sacred Stones segment, let's see this glitch through loot. Now everybody can act like the Eat Rock soldier from Path of Radiance by learning dark magic through throwing stones. Speaking of Path of Radiance, that's the next game on our to-do list of peculiar glitches. First off, we have a North American exclusive glitch that can cause Ike to be given 4 iron swords near the beginning of the game. If the visit tutorial is skipped during Chapter 2, Ike's inventory will suddenly be filled with 4 iron swords. This glitch does not exist within the Japanese or European version, strangely enough, but it's something you can take advantage of for free weapons in the North American release. If you want to pretend Fire Emblem is just like Zelda for a while, skip the village visit tutorial and watch as Ike's inventory quadruples for sword style. This isn't the only region-specific glitch, though. The Japanese version of Path of Radiance has an infamous glitch that allows for the critical stat in forged weapons to be maxed out well beyond what was intended, making weapons that are well past overpowered and guaranteed to critical hit. Using a weapon that has a non-zero critical rate at default, such as a Thunder Tome, and set the critical rate to 0 when forging. When the weapon is finished, the critical will instead become 255, which is so far beyond the intended limit that it allows you to break the game. This glitch is often utilized to power through the Japanese exclusive and bitterly difficult Maniac mode, essentially turning any mages into critical gods who can do damage more reliably than anyone else on the team. Next, we have a strange glitch caused when Ether activates at an improper moment. When trying to break a door with Ragnell, Ether still has a chance to activate, though most people don't see it because of the fact that there are no breakable doors after receiving Ragnell in the main story. However, Trial Map 5 does have a breakable door, and if Ike activates Ether while trying to break it, he will play out the animation 10 times before the door randomly opens without the door's durability draining. Here it is in action. That's one way to open a door, I suppose. The final glitch in Path of Radiance is once again Japanese exclusive, but it's much less beneficial than the 255 critical glitch. In Chapter 18, the player will face off against Shinon as an enemy unit. He has a brave bow, and when he is defeated, he will drop the weapon for the player to claim. If the player saves at the advanced preparation screen just before the fight in the Japanese version, though, Shinon will not drop the brave bow, and it will instead vanish into the mist. Resetting the game will fix this glitch and allow you to claim his brave bow. This glitch was fixed in the international version, so anyone in regions outside of Japan will be able to get the weapon without any issues. Radiant Dawn, the sequel to Path of Radiance, is the next game on our list. It's a sibling to Path of Radiance in every sense of the word, including being Path of Radiance's much more broken and glitchy older brother. Our first glitch is perhaps the most game-breaking thus far, and it's exclusive to release day copies of Radiant Dawn in North America. This is kind of a hard one to explain, so stay with me here. When starting up a new file of Radiant Dawn, the player has the option to use transfer bonuses, carrying over bonuses from Path of Radiance to Radiant Dawn and providing all sorts of perks to make the game experience run smoother. However, Path of Radiance's North American release differs from its Japanese relative in one crucial way: difficulty levels. Localized versions of Path of Radiance have the difficulty modes of easy, normal, and hard, while Japanese copies have normal, hard, and maniac. Maniac mode was considered too difficult for international releases, so it was replaced with easy in the localizations. However, release day copies of Radiant Dawn from North America do not have the proper receptors for localized difficulty. They are set to accept data from the Japanese difficulties of normal, hard, and maniac, meaning that if you have any easy save data on your copy of Path of Radiance, trying to use transfer bonuses will crash your game. If you have a release day copy of Radiant Dawn, you need to delete all of your easy save data from Path of Radiance before trying to transfer data to Radiant Dawn, even if you're not trying to transfer an easy file specifically. This glitch is devastating and game-breaking, but it was patched out of European releases as well as the later North American copies of Radiant Dawn. But how do you need to know if you should fear this issue, though? Well, there's a simple way to find out. The character biography descriptions. Look in the library within the base and check Morim's description. If it refers to him as Ike's sister, you have a bugged copy. In release day copies, Morim's profile was overwritten by mistake and shows misdescription instead. But later release fixed this. If Morim is referred to as himself, then you do not have a bugged copy and can freely transfer easy data to Radiant Dawn without fear or hesitation. Back in the day, there was a service where copies of Radiant Dawn could be sent in to Nintendo for this glitch to be fixed, though it has since gone defunct. This glitch is certainly an interesting one, even though it's an absolute pain in all of its game-breaking glory. Radiant Dawn's glitches aren't all malicious, though. The next glitch on our list is certainly an interesting one, and that would be the pass glitch, though most people probably associate it with Sky Tibarn instead. If a character with at least 8 movement points in the skill pass is being navigated around the map, the movement arrow can be maneuvered in a precise way that makes it extend far beyond its regular boundaries. The first time that this glitch was displayed, it was with Tibarn, and the glitch was used to make him fly far past the game's normal limits, hence the name Sky Tibarn becoming a more common title for it than pass glitch. Here's the first ever example of this glitch being shown online. For the most part, it's harmless, but it can cause some strange effects when it's pushed to its limits. For example, you can glitch the pass unit out of bounds, and they can be removed from the unit count despite still being considered alive. You can trigger an infinite enemy phase if all of your units are dead, save for your required units. Say, Alincia and Tibarn in Part 4 have been pushed out of bounds with this glitch. Just like that, the enemy phase lasts forever, though button mashing is said to bring the out-of-bounds units back onto the field. This glitch has a variety of interesting implications, but for the most part, it's harmless, though it is strange to see Tibarn launched out into space. For a glitch that actually has practical uses, we can look to the Japanese version of Radiant Dawn. In the original version of the game, it was possible to repeatedly try to pick up hidden treasure on maps that have it. Radiant Dawn has many chapters with hidden treasure located on specific spaces similar to desert maps from other games, and picking up the treasure has a skill % chance of happening unless you're using a thief, which is said to be a 100% chance. In the Japanese version, you could try repeatedly to pick up the treasure in the same turn by re-rolling the skill %. This could be done by cycling through the direct and cancel screens repeatedly, eventually allowing you to obtain the treasure. In the international releases, this glitch was patched out, so you have to pick up the treasure the normal way, unfortunately. On the note of treasure, picking up goodies may not always be a good thing, as is shown by our next glitch. Heather is a Tier 2 thief recruited in Part 2, and like all other units, she can be promoted to Tier 3 by going through level 20 and then leveling up once again in localized releases. However, this promotion will not happen if Heather promotes through stealing, a class skill of rogues. For some reason, stealing when Heather is about to promote loops her back to the start of level 21 without the promotion. I presume that this is an oversight as a result of her being the only rogue who does not promote via story events. So its promotion to Whisper happens automatically at the beginning of Part 4, but Heather has to do it on her own. With only one character to test it on, it makes sense how this could be missed. It must have been missed a few times though, since this glitch is found in every version of the game that isn't the Japanese version, since in that game, there is no level 21 to promote. In other words, if you want Heather to promote, you need to do it through bonus experience or combat because the game refuses to do it through stealing. One glitch remains in Radiant Dawn, and this one is definitely one of the more well-known glitches in the series. This glitch is most commonly associated with Part 3's 11th chapter, but it can be done on any map with an enemy ballista. Get one of your units to level 20 with 99 experience points, meaning that the next hit they take will give them the final experience point they need to promote. If they are hit by the enemy ballista, the promotion screen will appear, but the enemy will promote instead of your unit. The sniper becomes a marksman, but he uses Shinon's marksman model since there are no generic Tier 3 class models. All of the Tier 3 models are made custom for your units or for the bosses that have them, so Shinon is used as the default. The enemy will get the promotion bonuses to fit the class, and just like that, you'll have a newly promoted enemy on the field. Like I said before, this glitch is strongly associated with 3.11 since that's where most people encounter it, but it can also be done in Geoffrey's Charge in Part 2. If you can manage to get one of the Crimean Royal Knights to level 20 with 99 experience points, they can promote an enemy off of one of the ballista hits. Astrid is your best bet as accomplishing this glitch in this chapter, so if you use her Paragon skill wisely in Part 2 while on easy mode, she should be able to prompt an enemy unit to promote during the battle. It's a peculiar glitch, but it's certainly entertaining to see no matter the circumstances. There are 2 glitches of note to be found within the remake of Shadow Dragon, and they both follow the same theme: cloning people or items. First off, the Warp Staff can be used to clone characters to some degree in the Japanese and North American releases of the game. If the Warp Staff is used and the animation is skipped quickly, the teleported character will move to the designated tile while another version of them will remain where they were standing before the staff was used. The glitch was removed in the European version of the game, but it functions differently depending on the game's region. In the Japanese version, the clone will disappear the instant an enemy moves, and in the North American version, the clone will linger for 1 to 3 turns and remain motionless while impeding enemy movement. The clone becomes a human blockade like the Shine Barrier before vanishing at the end of the 1 to 3 turn period. Here's a quick example of what the glitch looks like in action. The second notable glitch in Shadow Dragon involves cloning an item instead of a person. The subject of this cloning is the Falchion Blade. The game checks to see if the player is suitable to go to Chapter 24X after Chapter 24 is cleared, with the requirements for the side chapter being A, Tiki either not being present through not being recruited or dying, and B, Falchion not being present in the convoy or any unit's inventory. However, this second requirement can be worked around. If a unit aside from Marth dies in Chapter 24 while holding the falchion, they can subvert the check for the sword. The game checks for the falchion in the convoy or unit's inventory before the chapter's conclusion flag is set, and dead unit's items are sent to the convoy at the end of a given chapter. Since the falchion is neither in the convoy nor in a unit's inventory, the game believes that you do not have the sword and will send you to Chapter 24X to get it. You can pick up the falchion as normal, and just like that, you have 2 falchions. As a bonus, you can use the Ohm Staff to resurrect the unit that died to execute the glitch, such as Tiki, and you will have successfully gained 2 copies of the sword while losing nothing in the process. What is this? Awakening? Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is going to be our shortest segment yet. Why is that? There are no discovered glitches within New Mystery of the Emblem. I spent hours searching through the internet to see if there were any records of past bugs being discovered, but I came up short no matter where I looked. In other words, there are no glitches for us to cover in this segment. Are there probably glitches within New Mystery of the Emblem? I would assume so, since no video game is made perfectly, but these glitches haven't been discovered or recorded yet, leaving us at a bit of an impasse. If you ask me, this game's glitches have likely remained hidden for so long because this game never received an official English release and hasn't been out as long as the other Japanese exclusive titles. If there are any bugs, though, I would love to hear about them whenever they are uncovered. But for now, we leave behind New Mystery of the Emblem as our first and final currently glitchless game in the Fire Emblem series. In light of New Mystery's tragic lack of glitches for us, we promote from the DS to the 3DS console, where our first game is Awakening. Right away, let's take advantage of the 3DS's special effect, adding 3D to its games. If you initiate combat with an enemy, with battle animations turned on, and turn on the 3D during the transition, the blur effect will be partially corrupted. This does not have any effect on the gameplay though, and the corruption will work itself out eventually. It's entirely aesthetic and will cause no long-term damage to the game or console. Awakening's next glitch brings us to Chapter 2, otherwise known as the map where Vake and Muriel are recruited. If Vake is killed before the trading dialogue with Muriel takes place, Vake's dialogue plays out as normal, and the game pretends as if he is still alive. It seems that the developers never thought the player would get Vake killed in such a strange manner, so they didn't bother to program alternate text for this possibility. Don't believe me? Here's a video to prove it.
Thanks. Beware.
As soon as this tutorial is over, Vake goes back to being dead all over again though, so his resurrection only lasts for this one cutscene and then comes to an abrupt halt once more. Rest in peace, Vake. You will be missed. This next glitch is exclusive to the North American release of the game, unlike the previous 2 that can be found in all copies. In the North American version of Awakening, the player has the option to switch the voice acting clips from English to Japanese. However, this change is not permanent. Anytime the game is reset, the voices will go back to English. The cinematic cutscenes will remain in Japanese, but all voice clips from combat and conversations will revert back to English. The European release fixed this glitch, but it's certainly a frustration for North American players. Coincidentally, our next bug is also exclusive to international releases and involves one specific map. the Roster Rescue DLC Xenologue. For the most part, this map functions perfectly fine. However, if Inigo initiates combat and plays out his battle text, the game will freak out, formatting the text differently by pushing it off to the side of the screen. Inigo's sprite appears over an empty text box, and the game remains this way until you've gone through all the text. Reading the text log will allow you to see what he's saying on the bottom screen. This strange glitch doesn't happen in the Japanese version, and it occurs both with and without battle animations in English releases. Once again, we have a video to show it off. I have no idea what happened in the localization process to lead to a bug like this. Something that happens with only Inigo on only this map, but it's certainly a strange glitch to behold. The final glitch for us to look at in Awakening is also map-specific, bringing us to Chapter 25 and the battle on Origin Peak against Aversa. There are a few Great Knights among the enemy ranks, and they are the ones responsible for this bug. If a Great Knight triggers Luna on this map and follows it up with a dual strike or second attack, they will teleport after Luna's animation. Here's the glitch in action. Strangely enough, this glitch only seems to take place on this one map and does not seem to be an issue anywhere else in the game. I suppose Origin Peak is simply destined to remain the sole home of the teleporting knight legend now and forever. As we continue to move through the 3DS Fire Emblem games, Fates has only 2 glitches of note, though both of them are rather strange and mysterious in nature. First of all, let us refer to the Japanese release of Fates, which has a peculiar glitch in which a female Kana cannot remove the bath towel accessory after starting to wear it. Due to unknown reasons, female Kana is stuck in the bath towel forever after being given the accessory for the first time, though no other character or accessory combination has this problem in the game. In international releases, this glitch was remedied by making it so that female Kana could not equip the bath towel at all, but the peculiar nature of the glitch remains. It's difficult to say why this glitch is exclusive to female Kana, not male Kana, or what makes the bath towel so special when paired with her specifically, but it was enough to cause a change in the North American and European releases of the game. Strangely enough, male Kana does not have this issue in any release, so it's exclusive to female Kana alone. The second notable glitch in Fates is one that has been recorded on a few rare occasions, but nobody can say for sure what causes it or how it can be replicated. Unfortunately, most documentation of this strange glitch was deleted when Miiverse went down a couple of years ago, making information about the bug hard to come by. The 2 examples that I could find involved level 3 skirmishes appearing on the world map, but when the battle was accessed in full, there were no enemies on the map. On top of that, there are 0 deployment slots for your side of the battle, which means that you can't start the fight because there are no units for you to control. The map is always the same too, the same map where the Branch of Fate takes place in Chapter 6. No one can say for sure what causes this empty skirmish or how it can be replicated to investigate it, but it's certainly a strange bug that we still don't understand more than 6 years after Fates' release. There are a few standout glitches in Fire Emblem Echoes, and unlike other bugs that were uncovered within its predecessor of Gaiden, these were certainly not added as intentional features in the remake. Recruiting characters from Ulm's army with Celica or defeating Duma with Nosferatu is one thing, but Echoes' first glitch is a different beast entirely, and it can only be found on DLC maps. If a support conversation is initiated on a DLC map, it is meant to play out as it would on a map from the main game. In other words, there should be full voice acting just like with the rest of the game. And yet, on DLC maps, that is not the case. The support conversations suddenly fall completely silent, but the voice acting can be heard if you look at the text log of recent dialogue. The voice acting simply does not play out when the support conversation is taking place as long as you are on a DLC map. Nobody can say for sure what could have caused a glitch like this, but it's a small and notable oversight that makes accessing support conversations a bit harder after you've finished your primary adventures in Valentia. On top of that, there can be instances where the game softlocks itself, or so it seems. In this video clip, we can see the game seemingly softlocked in a battle animation. Instead of attacking as normal, Tobin simply freezes and waits for a while before the battle animation is considered over without anything having happened at all. He gains experience as normal, and the game runs fine after the fact, but it's still an interesting glitch that I honestly don't understand. It's been recorded a few times, always with a bow knight using heavy draw against a monster that flies. I wish I could say what made the glitch occur with this setup specifically, but it seems as if the game doesn't know what to do about it, so it remains still until the battle can be considered over. It's certainly an odd bug, to say the least, and it makes you wonder what about heavy draw causes so many problems for the combat animations. Before we get to Three Houses, the final game on our list today, I want to do a quick aside and cover a side series game. I will admit that I didn't initially intend on looking at Fire Emblem Warriors, but given that Three Hopes is brand new and New Mystery of the Emblem disappointed us in the glitch department, I figured I would make up for it by giving everyone two interesting glitches to look at in the original Fire Emblem Warriors. What better way to celebrate the release of the second Warriors spin-off? First off, we have a game-breaking glitch from the game's earliest time on the Switch. This one involves playing the game in performance mode, and while it can happen with any unit, there's one specific character that has become infamous for triggering it. Within the game, characters can be assigned various skills that increase their strength in combat. One character and skill combination that can lead to the game crashing, though, forcing the player back to the Switch's home menu and prompting a swift restart of the map they have just played. Back when the game was still fresh on the Switch, using Lyn with the Astra skill had the possibility to crash the game. The player would be booted back to the Switch's home menu with an error message, and they would have no choice but to replay the map. This can happen with any character, like I said, but Lyn using Astra is the most common way to get it to trigger. I heard of it taking place most frequently when a map had just been completed, almost as if the universe is just trying to rub salt in the wound. Here you can see it in action.
Don't mess with me! I want to escape!
This issue has seemingly faded into obscurity in the last few years, but it was prominent and problematic back in the day. Our second glitch is much less of an issue, and if anything, it's downright hilarious. For the first time since Radiant Dawn, Fire Emblem has given us the chance to clip out of bounds, and it comes in the form of Chiki's promotion. When Chiki is promoted to her second tier class, she rocks back and forth with an idle animation. Each loop of the idle animation very slowly moves her to the right by a few pixels. When the game is left to sit long enough, Tiki can slide her way right out of the promotion room entirely, suspending herself in the skybox that apparently exists outside of the promotion space. As it turns out, the walls of the room have no collision, giving Tiki the perfect chance to breeze right on out. Here's the video example.
大丈夫？これが月なの？
Anyone can witness this glitch for themselves if they so choose, but here's a warning in advance. It takes upwards of 4.5 hours for Tiki's idle animation to push her out of the promotion space, so I would suggest getting ready for a lot of waiting if you want to see this quirky little out-of-bounds clip. Three Houses is the last game on our list to look at, and it's easily the most broken game since Radiant Dawn, assuming it's not even more broken. There are so many glitches from Three Houses alone that I can't cover them all in this brief segment. If you want to learn more about glitches in Three Houses specifically, I suggest watching Farcast's YouTube video on the subject, since there's only so much I can go over in this panel. If I talked about every glitch in Three Houses, we would be here for at least another hour. First off, let's look at a few game-breaking glitches. Our first glitch was discovered not long after the game came out and is notably terrifying and devastating. When the game first released, Dimitri's paralog, the Silver Maiden, had a glitch that corrupted save files if people saved on the battle preparation screen just before the battle. If you saved at the preparation screen on this specific paralog and then quit the game, your file would be completely unplayable when you next opened it. The preparation screen would not appear again when reloading the game, and since you couldn't leave the battle or begin the fight, the player would be trapped in purgatory and forced to restart the save file completely. This bug was patched out rather early on, so you can now save freely on the preparation screen without fear, but this glitch was infamous when the game first came out because of how easily it could destroy dozens of hours of progress. The Authority skill loss glitch is much less devastating than crashing the game or corrupting your save file, but it's still irritating. Edelgard, Hubert, Dimitri, and Claude all have specialized battalions equipped in either Chapter 12 or 13. If their authority rank is below C by this point, it will automatically be raised to C. However, if they have authority above C with experience going towards their next level, all of that experience will be erased as they reset to the baseline default to the level they are currently on. It's a minor bug, but it's still a frustrating one to encounter. Now, we have a few bugs that can be used to one's advantage. First, we have the HP overflow glitch that is often used to kill Hegemon Edelgard on maddening mode speedruns of Azure Moon. Three Houses uses a precise formula for regenerating health through fortresses or thrones, and when the digits exceed 255, the HP of the recovering unit is looped back to 0. This isn't normally an issue, but if the player deals exactly 3 damage to Hegemon Edelgard on her final HP bar on maddening Azure Moon, she will be instantly killed when the enemy phase begins, shaving down the final battle significantly in speedruns and making the game that much easier to clear. Here's an example. On the note of overflow glitches, it's time for us to grind for infinite money and renown, and this journey takes us to Abyss, specifically to the Pagan Altar. Bring at least 65,600 renown with you and get ready to make some exchanges for items using massive amounts of renown. Purchasing specific yet high numbers of one item can make the game's renown value overflow, and the items will cost much less than they should. From there, the items can be offered up for more renown or sold for infinite money. For our last glitch, it's time to look into one of the most beneficial and broken glitches in Three Houses, a bug that lets you infinitely loop months. This can only be done on days where the mission for the month does not take place on the last day, so keep that in mind on months you wish to loop. Choose to skip to the mission date, but while selecting the date, hold right on the analog stick. After a few tries, the cursor will move to the date just after the mission, and it should give you the ability to select the date after the mission. If you choose to skip the mission, the month will restart from the beginning, and you can do everything from that month all over again. Here it is in action.
I'm getting closer.
Everything functions as normal too, whether it be a cutscene, instruction days, birthdays, or monthly gold awarded at the beginning of the mood. Just like that, you can get infinite experience points, skill points, gold, and supplies by repeating the month as many times as you so please. Okay, I might have lied about Three Houses being the end of this presentation. While I was putting together the script for this re-recording and archival, a glitch was discovered in Three Hopes. Since I talked about the first Warriors game, it only felt right to cover this one too. This glitch is a small one since nothing game-breaking has been discovered yet for Three Hopes, but it's certainly frustrating. In some escort missions, the AI can struggle to move forward. In fact, the AI seemingly forgets what to do with itself and can loop constantly in one place without arriving at the escape point. Most issues with this seem to come up in Azure Gleam's 4th chapter, an escort mission with a lot of NPCs. Between Rhea, Sedith, Catherine, and Cyril, it isn't all that uncommon for one of them to give up and simply stop moving, seemingly forgetting that their mission is to escape. I've also seen the glitch happen with Dorothea on Chapter 13 of Golden Wildfire, usually leading to a swift reset on behalf of the tight time limit involved with escorting her through the map. Nobody knows what causes the AI to stall this way, and it seemingly happens at random. It's an irritating glitch, but it luckily won't completely break the game. I'm hoping other glitches will be discovered in Three Hopes soon, but for now, idling NPCs is the most we have. Warriors games certainly like to do that, don't they? And with that, our journey into the Fire Emblem glitches has drawn to an end. For real this time, I promise. However, there are no doubt other bugs out there that are waiting to be uncovered and explored in more detail. I'm personally waiting for someone to find a way to break new mystery of the Emblem, but glitches from every game are still intriguing no matter how you look at it. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed this presentation. I had tons of fun putting it together, and I hope you can all leave here today with a few more strange facts about the ways in which the Fire Emblem series functions. If you want to see the clips shown in this video, you can find them in the description below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll hopefully see you the next time the Fire Emblem community uncovers an exploit or glitch. Until then, everyone,